mandate to force military service members to take the COVID-19 vaccine was wrongfully and unlawfully applied because the Biden Pentagon refused to grant exemptions for certain medical and faith reasons, not to mention it was an experimental vaccine. As a result, many service members and their families suffered severe hardship, and the department lost trust with the American people. President Trump's executive order on this topic stated that the military unjustly discharged those who refused the vaccine, regardless of their conscience or the years of service given to our nation. He called this what it is, an unfair, overly broad, and completely unnecessary burden on our warriors. Under the leadership of President Trump, the War Department is committed to doing everything we can to make it right, as you know. We want warriors of conscience, warriors who made a principled stand for truth. We want them back in our ranks as soon as possible. We are welcoming back to service patriots who refused the COVID-19 vaccine and were discharged for that reason. If that is you, and you still have the desire to once again wear the cloth of our nation, we are ready to reinstate you with back pay and with benefits. I'm directing the Undersecretary of War for Personnel and Readiness to establish a Department of War COVID-19 Reinstatement and Reconciliation Task Force. The services have them right now. We're establishing one at our level to oversee the entire thing. The task force's goal is to bring back into service all those who desire to continue to serve our country in uniform. Even if you do not intend to return to service, the War Department will provide a path for resolution of unearned bonuses, upgrades to discharge characterizations that will unlock your well-deserved benefits, and removal of adverse documents from service files. Further, I have directed a review of policies and decision-making to ensure that we do not go down this path again. You raised your right hand and swore an oath to serve and protect the Constitution and our nation. You were mistreated by the Biden Pentagon, and we are fixing that injustice.
All right, Shalom, all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, whom will and teach well, who taught us this truth. I came across this video, man, and there's quite a bit of things to get, man. You know, we can point out the fact that Esau, Edom, Babylon the Great, their army is dwindling. The spirit, the spirit of this place has gone, so much to the point that, their recruitment numbers are down. Nobody wants to go and fight for this place. Why? Because Esau has been shown to be the thief, the liar, the butcher that he is, man. And so that's one way that an empire begins to fall, when you don't have anybody to defend it, man. And so what do they have to do? They have to go back and say, hey, we know we did you wrong. We're sorry, but please come back and die for us. Our greatest ally needs you, right? One thing that I wanted to start off here with is Revelations 13 and 11. It says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. And this goes into the revived Roman Empire, which, those two horns, they are a representation of the Democrats and the Republicans, right? But they're two horns on the same beast, man. And that's what, our people don't understand, man, that it doesn't matter whether you vote Republican or whether you vote Democrat. You're voting for the beast system. You're just voting for a different part of the same beast, man. And the reason that I'm pulling this precept here is because the very first thing he said and the very last thing he said is under the Biden administration. Because what's he doing is he's trying to distance himself, man, but they are all the same. Because, he's trying to say that, yeah, that past administration, they kind of dropped the ball, man. They passed some laws, and yeah, you lost your pay. Yeah, you may have lost your house because you weren't getting paid. Yeah, you probably lost your retirement. Because being in the military, man, like you have to be in the military. I think it goes like 10, 15, and 20 years for different retirement plans. And so some people, they couldn't retire. I mean, think about that, man. Somebody, went to Iraq or, whichever war, risked their lives, and maybe they were 1 year from their retirement, and, they lost it. And so He's trying to distance himself from the previous administration as if to say that they're different. They're not different, man. Again, two horns of the same beast. And how do we know that they're not different? Because what was that law that they passed? Basically, well, it wasn't a law, but it was a mandate, in the armed forces that said you have to get this, jab here, or if not, then, you got to go. And so he's calling it tyrannical. Matter of fact, he's calling it draconian, right? Because that's the word here in Revelation 13. He spoke as a Draco, right? He's making it seem like if that only that past administration is gonna write draconian rules, but that's exactly what this administration is doing now, man. See, for those people that actually thought about it, well, for those people that had that thought, well, maybe I should go back. You're going back to the same beast. They are writing draconian laws about what you can and cannot say about a certain country in the Middle East. They are building these data centers to track you. But again, he's trying to distance himself. Oh, it wasn't us. And what do our people do? Matter of fact, who is this dude, man? Look at this dude. Like, I don't know if this is a real dude. It may be AI, but the point is they have Israelites there. What looks to be an Israelite, man. And that's what our people do, man. Our people can be wronged by this government, and they will still go back. Proverbs 26:11. As a dog returns to his vomit, so a fool returns to his folly. Because that's exactly what our people want to do. Our people would, yeah. And how do we know this? Because um, I'm not going to say how. Why do we say this? Because we know this. And how do we know this? Because when you bring up the history of what this group of people has done to us as a people, so-called blacks, natives, and Hispanics, not just us, but the entire world. Look at what he did to himself with the Nord Stream pipeline. He blew up that big pipeline, sending oil to the UK nations, man. And the scriptures say, "He that is not good to himself, to whom shall he be good to, man?" And and though this man's wickedness gets continuously gets exposed, our people return to it. Our people, you vomited everything that he gave you. You you lost your pension. You lost your job. You literally went to this man and said, "I will die for you," and then he kicked you out because you wouldn't because you wouldn't take that jab, man. And now you're back to your vomit, man. And that's why our people have to go, man, because they continue to trust upon this wicked system, man. It doesn't matter which administration is in control. This is Sirach 10:2. It says, "As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein." And this precept basically proves what I was just going into, man. All right, the way that these people are is the way that they all are. Okay, there is no Biden administration and Trump administration. It's a Edomite administration, man. That's what it comes down to, man. And our people either have been blinded, according to Isaiah 44 verse 18, or our people, they're just really that's it, man. Because at this point, you've got to be spiritually blinded. You've got to be spiritually drunk off the wine of Babylon to not be able to see the evil that this man's doing. You can't see the data centers. You can't see the genocide that they're funding. You can't see the kidnapping from the leader of Venezuela. You can't see the sanctions and the embargoes that they're putting on the so-called Cubans. You can't see the wars that he's starting in the so-called Middle East. You can't see him, funding billions of dollars for AI. Matter of fact, for those that don't know what I'm talking about, Trump signs bill. Let's see this. Signs bill making it can't sue AI for 10 years or something like that. It says, let's see what it says. Right here, it says, instead, a proposed 10-year moratorium on state AI laws was voted out of a measure spanning to combat he later signed an executive order directing the DOJ to challenge state AI regulations. So basically, he's making it to where you can't sue the AI companies, man. And he spent billions of dollars. You know, who did he go to China with? He went to China with nothing but the tech executives. Who was at his inauguration? Let's see, what major company heads were at Trump's inauguration? 2024. Yeah, 2024. It says major techs. Okay, yeah. Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Google, Apple, TikTok, OpenAI, Uber, Media, FIFA. Uh, all these that are going to be that are working together for this digital ID and RFID chip, man. That's who was there. You can't see what this man's trying to set up to do. Now he's building, he's building a ballroom, with oh, if this guy's a president of the people, why does he need to have drones on at the White House? If he supposedly has a 99% approval rate, which he's touted according to CNN's polls, he touted a CNN poll, by the way, which for many years, he calls CNN fake news, but then he touts it when it goes from, if he's at 99% approval rate, then why are we supposed to believe that, there's been 4 attempts on his life now? Make that make sense. You know, in one breath he tells you that everybody loves him, but in the other breath he tells you that he's got to build a ballroom because everybody hates him. Make that make sense, man. See, our people would rather go down to Egypt, man. Isaiah 31:1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And that's our people, man, because you know what the sad reality is? You know, our people went right back to this bastard, man. You, you know, they got offered, their back pay, their bonuses. Shit, that might have been $100,000-$200,000, man. You know, and I mean, this is like what 6 years after that bullshit. So, I mean, people move on in life. So, like, those people that lost their pensions or they couldn't retire. I mean, 6 years later, they're probably working a 9 to 5 job that they don't like. And so, now that this devil has presented the opportunity for them to get their back pay and bonuses, I mean, a lot of people took that, man. And that's the way it's going to be when they roll out this MOTB, man. When they roll out the mark of the beast, that's what it's going to be, man. It's he's going to make it to where he's going to entice you to want to get it. And then that's how it's going to start. If you do this, we'll give you this, a UBI, a universal basic income. And then they're going to keep pushing it, and then because that's what they did in 2020. They were giving you free French fries or a hamburger or $500, and then afterwards, when people weren't doing it, then it was like, okay, well, if you don't want to take this money, well, then you can't go to work. And people took it, and that's what's gonna happen, man. Our people would rather trust in this place, man. Matter of fact, let's get that other precept, Egypt broken reed, right here. Isaiah 36:6 says, "Lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed," on Egypt, man. And that's what our people do, continuing on that point, man. This is a broken reed. America is falling. It doesn't matter, what UFC fight they put, the 250th anniversary. It doesn't matter what this is a broken reed. Right? This place is barely being propped up, man. Says, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him. Anybody that is still trusting in Egypt, man, it's gonna work out as as their downfall, man. All right, and the sad but true thing, according to the scriptures, Zechariah 13, says that 2/3 of our people are gonna do that, man, and that's how they've always been. This is Hosea 9 and verse 13. It says, Ephraim, right now, this is a precept that we typically use for the northern kingdom, to point out who the so-called Puerto Ricans are. But, this applies to our people as a whole. Ephraim, as I saw, Tyrus, is planted in a pleasant place. And, right now, that pleasant place is America, man. You could call an Uber, go wherever you want. You could have, Instacart bring you whatever you want. You could search any video you want on the internet. You can do whatever you want, man. You can be whatever you want. This is as it says in Revelation 11 verse 8. This is spiritually known as Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, I mean, let's not forget that this is the same country that withheld millions, I think billions of dollars in humanitarian aid to the continent of Africa because they wouldn't, let the rainbow people marry amongst themselves, man. This is this is the land called spiritual Sodom and Gomorrah. It says, but Ephraim shall bring forth his children to the murder, and that's exactly what our people have done. They are bringing themselves to the murder, and who is that murderer? Well, that murderer is Esau Edom. All right, he is as death. Let's get that. Habakkuk 2:5. Yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desires hell, and is as death, cannot be satisfied, but gathered unto him all nations, and heaps unto him all people. Anybody that's joining the military at this point, man, you're just basically, you're basically done, man. Set your house in order because when World War III kicks off, they're not coming back. They're not coming back to this place, man, because again, Isaiah 36, this Egypt, this is a broken reed, man. This is a broken reed. Matter of fact, we can close off here. I think there was a couple precepts that I actually wanted to get. Yeah, we can get Sirach 10. I think we were already in there. Yeah, Sirach 10. See, because for pride the Lord, no. I'm thinking Sirach 12 and 10, not 10. Sirach 12 and 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness, man. And this is a precept that I'm pulling so that, again, it was never about the Biden administration. It's always been the same race of people that have been, oops, sorry, oops, sorry, oops, sorry, oops, sorry, come back, come. Stop trusting this fool, man. Stop trusting this damn demon. All right, just as once you begin to see that rust on your car, or once you begin to see a small amount of paint chipping, even though you paint over it, that rust is gonna continue to show, man. Stop trying to paint this man in a good image, man. Look at the rust for what it is, man. Is death. He is as death, man. Stop giving your kids, stop giving yourself to this murderer, man, because all he's gonna do is he's just gonna drag you into another war for our greatest ally, man, and then cut you off when you don't do exactly what he says, man. See, why is it so difficult for our people to do that to a murderer, a known murderer, as opposed to Yahweh Shai? Bring your sons and daughters to Yahweh Shai. Don't bring them to the murderer. Again, man, the scripture says, matter of fact, I'm gonna close that. To a hard-headed people. What is that? Nah, I think that was in Ezekiel. Yeah, right. Ezekiel 30. It says, "Behold, I have made." Right here, it says, "But the house of Israel, man, not too many so it might be around here. It says, uh, Yeah, I guess we can go with this. It says, as an adamant harder than flint have I made thy forehead. Fear them not, neither be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house. Man, our people. Matter of fact, we can even get verse 8. This is Ezekiel 3 and 8. Behold, I have made thy face strong against their faces, and thy forehead strong against their forehead. Our people are just, our people are just hard headed, man. That's why the scriptures talk about, the same was known after death by pain, according to 2 Ezra 9, verse 11. Hey, the warning's gone out, man. The warning and the truth is going out. If you can't get it, man, then Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is going to do that factory reset. So until the next one, Shalom.